Hey everybody, AC here, and welcome back to another Terrible Theory. We are continuing my theory on the Sonic the Hedgehog timeline here in part 2. And this time, and the next game of the previous game in the timeline from part 1 was Sonic the Fighters. Continuing on with the timeline, we have Sonic Generations, or more specifically, the classic Sonic portion of Sonic Generations. This is the point in time when classic Sonic comes to Sonic Generations. Comes to Sonic Generations to help out. At the end of that journey, we know that it has to be here. We know it has to be here because all of the other classic games take place before this, and after this game, we get Sonic Mania Plus and Sonic Superstars, where Sonic has brand new abilities, brand new moves that he can try that he learned from his future self. He was able to come up with new abilities thanks to his future self. So it has to take place here in the timeline. And I suppose I should mention that there are 3 games. There are 3 games that are crucial for this timeline. 3 games that are extremely crucial for this whole timeline theory to work. Sonic Generations, Sonic Forces, and Sonic Frontiers. Because those 3 games in particular have so many references to other games. It has so many references to other games. I guess Sonic Mania Plus would also be one, but that's connected to Sonic Generations and Sonic Forces, which still just ties back to how important those 2 games are. But yeah, those are like the 3 main games that like are kind of the crux of this whole theory that I'm crafting. So after Sonic Generations, after classic Sonic goes back to his own time, the events of Sonic Mania Plus happen, which is the definitive version of that game that has Ray the Flying Squirrel and Mighty the Armadillo returning for their final appearances. And then at the end of that game, the Ruby that Dr. Eggman and his mechs were using sends Classic Sonic to into the events of Sonic Forces, and that's when the classic portion of Sonic Forces takes place. After that, when Sonic returns home, having learned even more from his future self, as well as from the player character of Sonic Forces, Sonic Superstars takes place. So now Sonic thinks after Sonic Generations, he started working alongside Knuckles a lot more often, thanks to Sonic Mania Plus, and he even allowed Mighty and Ray to help him out. After the events of Sonic Forces, he learned just how useful Amy is in a fight, which is why he decides to bring her along in the events of Sonic Superstars. After that adventure, however, he goes off on his own. Sonic goes off on his own. His friends all separate. And we get the events of Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, and Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode Metal. We get all 3 of those. All 3 episodes of Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Now, I should preface this that Sonic Generations starts a split timeline. Because where we last left off, Sonic 3D Blast was a solo Sonic adventure. Sonic the Fighters again can be seen as a solo adventure where he sees Tails and Knuckles and Amy, but he's just there to fight them in order to get the Chaos Emeralds. And that's it. So he doesn't actually go on an adventure with them. And we know that after that, the events of Sonic Adventure has to take place. Because Sonic does not have all of the different abilities that Classic Sonic has in Sonic Mania and Superstars. He does not have that stuff. But he also ends up meeting up with Tails again in Sonic 4 episode 2. He meets up with Tails again. So clearly those games, Sonic 4 cannot take place in the main timeline. So Sonic Generations created a split timeline. You've got the main timeline, and then you've got a split timeline after the events of Sonic Generations. That causes a split timeline, and that's where we see all of these games in that split timeline. And I'm sure there's going to be more classic Sonic games that Sega's going to do. There's going to be more classic Sonic games, and they are going to be added to this timeline. They will be added to this timeline. But they do not connect to the main timeline. The main timeline goes from the classic era to the games that we will be covering in part 3. But that is it for this era, and that's the alternate. That's the alternate era. I'm gonna call that the alternate era, or the timeline split era. Let's call it that. The timeline split era. So that's it. That's it for part 2. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good jazz, and I will see you all in part 3. Take care, everybody.